Welcome to the Worst of the Riot Extra podcast. Our topic for today is a branch off of our show today, where we talked about Dunkin'. They've declared that it is Short King Spring. I don't know if they declared that or if somebody else came up with that, but either way, they're celebrating by naming one of their drinks the Short King. So now, at least for the next week, you go into Dunkin' Donuts and you say, "I'd like a Short King, please," and they'll give you a small iced coffee or whatever. Isaiah, first of all, do you actually consider yourself a Short King? How tall are you?
I'm like 5'9.5". Sometimes I say 5'10". Sometimes I say 5'9". I would say I'm in between the 5'9", 5'10". Depends what shoes I'm wearing. Mm-hmm. Some shoes I wear, I'm 5'10". Barefoot?
Yeah.
Probably 5'9.5".
I feel like, who's taller, you or I?
I don't know. I think we're like pretty darn close.
We are real close. Because I always consider myself 5'9". I think if I said 5'10", if I ever said 5'10", that would probably be a lie.
I think you could get away with it. You're pretty darn close.
Yeah, who even knows? This is the thing. We don't even know.
We have no idea.
Nobody knows their height except for actual short people and actual tall people.
Yes.
Everybody between...
in the middle.
Yeah, 5'7" and 6'4", probably they don't know exactly how tall they are. Yeah.
They have no idea. But if you're 6'7", everybody asks you every day, how tall are you? And they have to say 6'7".
And then they ask, do you play basketball?
Mm-hmm.
Which I love. I love that if you're tall, people ask you that. I feel like you must get tired of that if you're a tall person, don't you think?
Yeah, it's 100%.
What do people ask short people when they see them?
How are you doing?
Oh. I was thinking, like, do we ask all short people, like, oh, are you a jockey?
How are you really?
How are you really? How are you coping?
Yeah.
Wait, are you a Short King then?
I think I go back and forth with it. Depends who I'm talking to.
I think
I can recognize that I am like a little bit of a shorter guy, but I think I'm pretty I think 5'9", 5'10" is pretty average. But
that's what I was thinking.
For this podcast, I'm going to identify as a shorter person so that I could talk about Short Kings with full transparency.
I feel like I don't know that the Short Kings would accept me at my height at 5'9", and the only reason I say that is because at being about 5'9", walking around, I don't see that many people that are shorter than me.
Yeah.
So, well, wait, that must mean that I am a Short King.
That means that you're in the bottom percentile.
That's right.
Brother.
If there's I can think, I can actually name two people that are definitely shorter than me that I can think of in my life that are grown men. So that means that I must be a Short King. I'm the third shortest person I know.
Like in my friend group, I am one of the shorter ones, for sure. I'm one of the shorter ones in my friend group, which I'm okay with. But then I've met women that have considered me short before because they're taller women. That's the worst.
Yeah.
One of the worst, even just demographics for short guys is tall women because they love bringing up how short you are.
Yeah. And then you ask them, either they play basketball or volleyball. I learned from Nikki that volleyball is another big one for the tall gals.
And Nikki's pretty tall.
She is pretty tall.
Is Nikki taller than both of us?
It's close.
She's darn close.
Yeah, she probably is.
Nikki might be taller than... Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Nikki was the tallest one on the show. She doesn't like being tall. That's the thing about women.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't like being tall. They would say they're shorter than they are. Like, if you asked Nikki how tall she was, even though she's taller than both of us, we just both said we're like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
Nikki's taller than us. If we asked her, she would say she's like 5'9", even though we know she's taller than that.
And you think about, I don't know if this is intentional, but she would always wear what kind of shoes?
She wore sandals.
Sandals, flip-flops. She wasn't trying to lift herself up at all. Now, I've never intentionally bought shoes to make myself feel taller, but I definitely don't want shoes that minimize my height.
I can't wear sandals.
I hate sandals.
I hate going to the pool and being in sandals.
If someone gave me sandals, I'd throw them in the garbage. I'd run them through the garbage disposal because I wouldn't want them.
You want to know how tall a guy really is? Take him to the pool.
Yes, that's where you get the truth right there. There's no hiding it. Do you think, I guess this branches off of that. Do you think it's more difficult for a short guy to date or a tall gal?
That's a great question.
This isn't a fair question, is it?
No, I mean, it's not a fair question because it's easier for women to find
We
partners.
could come up with any affliction. It's always going to be, it's easier for women as far as dating goes.
But there is something to that. The whole gals looking for taller guys. So I know the Short Kings out there. That's kind of why the whole Short King came about.
Yeah.
Is because the Short Kings they needed to prop themselves up to be like, hey, we're people 2 over.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
know. We also know that we could have a partner. But I think it's changed a little bit. I think that there's kind of a stigma around like gals dating guys that are shorter than them or the same height. And I think that's mainly a thing that's said, but in practice, it's not actually true.
Yeah.
Like girls, a lot of times you would think like, oh, no, girls only want to date guys that are taller than them, which is not true. I've seen many instances of times where girls are either the same height or taller than their boyfriend, and a lot of girls do not care about that.
Yeah. I think, I'm with you at that.
Have you ever dated a girl that's taller than you?
Probably been on dates, but I wouldn't say dated. I don't even know. I can't even compare. It wasn't anybody. I haven't dated a gal that was noticeably taller than me. No.
One time I went on a date and I did not, this was like a Hinge date. I didn't know how tall this girl was going to be. I had no idea. For whatever reason in the profile, I did not pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I show up on
we wouldn't look. We're guys.
Yes,
Why would
exactly.
we look? We don't care about
doesn't
that.
matter. It doesn't matter. Unless you're like 6 foot tall, then that's a little bit different.
Could there be a date where you went on a date with a gal and she was too tall? You just look at her. She's too tall for me.
I don't prefer gals being a lot taller than me.
Okay.
So that's just my preference.
Yeah.
And so as like some girls don't like guys that are shorter than them, I don't like going on dates with gals or consider dating a gal that's a lot taller than me. That's just my preference.
Yeah.
And on this very date, I show up, and this is the funniest part about it, is I have a pair of shoes that are my normal going out shoes. That are like a nice pair of shoes that do have a little bit of a nice little cushion on the bottom that might give me that extra inch that I need, you know? But on that day, Jim had peed on that pair of shoes. My dog, Jim, that morning peed on my going out shoes. And so the only other backup nice pair of shoes I had that day were these Vans that were the flattest. I mean, the flattest shoes I own. I show up to the date looking shorter than I normally do. And she's taller than me by like an inch. If I had the other shoes on, we would have been like the same height. And immediately from the moment that I stepped out of my truck and saw her, I was thrown off the rip. I mean, I was not
shaken.
I was not
Your
expecting that whatsoever.
Was thrown.
Oh,
right
completely
out the
thrown. And so then like I came up and I was like, oh, I gave her a hug, and immediately like, we're like meeting nose to nose, and I'm like, oh, geez, this is not going to go well for me. And so that was like one of the few times. There was one other time that I went on a date with a girl that was like probably about the same height as me. But those are like the only 2 times.
So your girlfriend now must be shorter.
Much shorter than me.
She's
like 5. She's like in the prime zone for me.
Oh, yeah?
Which is like 5'3", 5'4" area. Because then I feel tall. Like this past week, I was standing in front of her with shoes on at her apartment.
Yeah.
And she had bare feet. And I was standing like over top of her kind of talking, and she was like, wow, I feel so miniature. And that just made my heart feel so warm.
Wow. Was that from a place of pain for her, though? Is she really,
Oh, is she feeling really,
how is she feeling?
No, I don't think that she's so self-conscious about her height.
Oh, okay.
But it did make me feel good. I was like, really? I feel kind of like a monster.
You don't get that very often.
How tall am I?
Only
how
from children.
Big am I? Yeah,
usually.
Exactly. Only from third graders do I ever feel tall.
Right.
But my girlfriend makes me feel tall, and so that was a plus for me.
See, Angela, for me, she does this. It feels like she does this once a month. She will say to me, she'll be looking at me, and I'll be looking at her forehead, and she'll say to me, I thought we were the same height. And I go, no, I've always been taller than you. She's like, am I shrinking? No, you do this once a month. I'm taller than you.
She's kicking you in the shins.
I'm a little bit taller, just a bit taller. And if I'm 5'9", you're 5'8". It's real close. But for some reason, she's like,
she loves bringing that up.
Yeah, she just it throws her frequently that she's not the same height as me, and I don't know why.
She's like, I've always been taller. Yeah. I've always been taller.
Yeah. I don't know.
Since I met you, I've been taller. We're an inch apart. And she's like, I feel like there were times when I was taller. He's like, no.
It's never been.
I've always been hovering over top of you by an inch.
But I know that there's challenges. There must be challenges with being tall too. Probably like finding the right clothes and stuff like that. But for short people, there's challenges too, I was thinking.
And I think about this. This is one of the many challenges. Angela is almost as tall as you.
Yeah.
Which would be considered for a woman pretty tall.
Yeah, she's I don't know if she's above average, but she's on the
I would
higher
say
range of average.
If you're above 5'7", I think that you're above average for a gal. Like tallness wise, the majority of girls I know, I feel like fall into the average height, like that 5'5", 5'6" area. If you're pushing 5'9", you are tall for a girl. Like you're a taller gal. But that makes me wonder, is her family tall? Is her dad, like, is he like shaking your hand coming down from this big 6'4" frame, looking at little Hud?
You know what? He's definitely taller than me, but it's not like a vast difference. We don't, when we're standing next to each other, it doesn't feel.
He doesn't like a conqueror next to you?
Yeah, he doesn't tower over me, for sure.
Because that's another thing. Is
And
like
her mom doesn't either. Her mom is shorter, for sure, yeah.
That's another thing. It's like if your girlfriend has a tall family and you're like meeting them for the first time, you want to like bring in this presence.
Yeah.
As a man. You want to bring in this presence as if you're a grown man taking care of their daughter. And then when their dad and her brothers are all like 6'3", you're like, are you joking?
I'm actually, I'd be more worried about that than the gal herself being taller than me.
Yes.
Because I don't want to, you know what I don't want? I don't want every time it's like, let's take a family photo.
Oh,
you go in front. I don't want that.
Isaiah, get down on
That'd
a
be the
knee.
most crushing blow. We'll have the short in the front.
All right, let's have Eden and Mom. You guys can say crisscross applesauce. Isaiah, we'll put you down there too. Let's have you say crisscross applesauce in the front row, please.
That is, I actually think, now that I'm thinking about it, being my height, that is the biggest blow that I can think of. The most hurt I ever get about my height is if it's like, you go in the front of the picture.
You sit down, take a knee down there.
I'm always trying to sneak in the back. And then people don't see my torso either. I just want them to see my head, but I want to be back there with the tall guys. I don't want to be up front feeling like a child.
See, that's what Eden, she has a brother. And one of the first things I asked about her brother, because I'd never seen him, I was like, how big is he? How big of a man are we talking about here? Is he like similar size to me? Same thing I asked about her dad. And both of them, her brother and her dad, both a little bit shorter than me.
Hey,
that was a win.
That's a big win.
I came in to the first time I met him, obviously gave them both a good shake of hand. And I was like, you know what? I kind of, around this household, people might consider me kind of a tall guy.
They're asking you to reach stuff for them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you guys,
and it's like, it's your house. Why would you put it up that high?
You guys don't put anything on the top. You want me to put anything up there while I'm here?
The storage. I was saying that's a challenge. That is a big sticking point as a guy, as a shorter king. If you get put in the front of photos. Another thing that I think is tough is that I think about this. It's much harder to look in shape when you're shorter. Because I know some shorter guys that they can't, like their waist size cannot be bigger than some of the tall guys I know.
Yes.
But they look, people, you would look at them and you'd be like, wow, you're much more rotund than some of the friends I know. And that's got to be tough. It's like, it's still a 36-inch waist. That's not a big waist for a man. Yeah. But if you're 5'5", that feels much tougher.
Oh, it feels so much tougher.
Yeah, you got to work much harder if you want to look like you're in shape.
It's so easy to look like a little bowling ball. The shorter that you are. I know this because a few short years ago, I myself was a little bit, for me, I was a little heavy. I look back at these photos, unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable that I wasn't even heavy for like a normal human being. And my stomach, you would have thought that I weighed 200 and some pounds.
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't even reached over 200 pounds for myself. But my body type, if I'm even getting close to that, then my stomach it looks like for a 6'2" person, it looks like I'm 270 pounds. And so it makes me look the thicker I am because I'm so short.
The shorter you are, the more likely your proportions are that of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Which is not what you want.
If you're 5'5", you could be 140 pounds and you could look thick.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
That's a challenge. It's not fair.
But there is a positive to that too.
Okay.
The switch side. And this is why I'll tell you a place that I do feel tall.
Yeah.
The gym. You go to the gym full of short kings. Why? Because that's what they have. You can look
they
jacked.
Have to do that.
You can look jacked as a short person. The shorter you are, the bigger your biceps can be. Every guy at the gym that's under 5'7" is shredded. They have huge, their biceps are huge because there's nowhere for it to go. Like if you get a little muscle on there, your arms are so short Like for me, I have no excuse not to be way bigger. And then my friends who are like 6'5",
Yeah.
like if my friends who are 6'5" look massive, then they are humongous because there's so much room on their arms for muscle to go.
Yeah, that is a bonus of being a shorter guy.
You can look jacked.
Yeah, it still takes more work than I am willing to put in, but
we haven't really delved into that.
Yeah,
we haven't taken that advantage up yet.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we've provided some support for those. That we've lifted some short kings up.
I don't know if we have with that.
Yeah,
I think that one positive
lamented all of the issues, and we only came up with one good.
There's got to be other good positives to being a short king. But how about this?
You can have a smaller car.
You can have.
That's tall people are complaining. I can't even go for a ride in your a sedan because I'm too tall.
I get very comfortable easily. I can be comfortable in a lot of places. I can sleep in a car easily. On a plane, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
I can sleep on smaller couches. You put me on a futon, I could easily curl up in a little ball, and I could be on there sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
Like my tall friends have trouble sleeping anywhere. They come over to my house, and I'm like, well, this is the couch. Like this is as big as it is.
Yeah.
You're
Their
gonna
feet
have
are hanging off the edge.
You're gonna have to scrunch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
you
sorry.
or I, we could make a bed in a dresser drawer, and we'd be fine.
The other thing I think about too.
Curl up.
There's two other things I think about. One of them being, for short kings as well, being a short king in the workplace. When you go for like an interview, and for us as well, and this is another point that I'll make after this, fashion is harder the shorter that you are, because like finding a suit that looks good on you when you're shorter, it feels sometimes it feels a little silly.
Yeah.
I've been in suits before. I feel very, very awkward in them.
You kind of feel like a penguin. A little bit.
And so when I come to workplaces and I'm shaking hands, meeting new people I have not met, there is a little thing there about like if I'm around a bunch of taller guys that are like businessmen, then where do I fall into that?
That's
where
right.
do I fall into line?
It's a difficulty because you can be, for tall guys and for tall women, I assume as well, there's a power dynamic where that makes that people just naturally probably make you feel like you're more powerful. Like you're more influential, that will literally look up to you. But then we've heard about, even in the NFL, this happened to Mike Vrabel, famous head coach.
Oh, yeah.
He got, supposedly, there's rumors that he got denied, that he was having a tough time finding a new job this offseason because he was too tall, too big, and intimidating. And to the like owners and whatever, the executives who are interviewing him, they felt intimidated. That was too much. They didn't want to be pushed around by Mike. And so he was actually not getting the job because they didn't want him in the building.
That's why the Sledgehammer hasn't promoted me yet. Because at RadioU, I'm a giant. I might be the tallest one who works here. You got to think.
It's actually, that's up for debate.
It is. It's because Nene is shorter than both of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Moneybags.
He's one of the crazy. Maybe it's just because he's a little younger, but he runs marathons. He's done that, but he is short and like still super thin.
He is thin,
and he eats a lot.
I know, and he eats a lot of sugar because of that ketchup. I don't know, like his diet it's crazy that he's so skinny. His metabolism must be great.
I think one day it's gonna catch up to him a little bit, where he's gonna have to start being a little more conscious.
Because you got to think, Nene.
Until then, though, live it up.
Live it up. 100%. While your metabolism's running like that, that's like the greatest time in life, and you don't even know it yet. For the rest of the RadioU staff, like Moneybags and Sledgehammer, like me and you, Hudson, we're kind of like
we're on the upper end.
We're kind of like the big guys around here. Because that's why we're on the morning show.
That's right.
They're the two tallest guys on the morning show. And the other thing too,
I was just gonna say, this is why if you're shorter, what you need to do at the workplace. Is the first day you get hired, you go in there, you find the tallest guy, kick his butt.
You got to just beat him up.
Yeah, that's right.
What you have to do. You have to lay the hammer down right away.
Yeah.
And another thing that in my family, this is crazy. My older brother is the tallest person on both sides of my family. On both sides, my mom and my dad's side.
Yeah.
My older brother is maybe, and I mean maybe, 6 foot tall.
Okay.
He's between 5'11" and 6 foot. So clearly the genes for me, if I have children, they will not be tall. Like my family is a small family, so I feel very normal. Like my dad's probably about the same height as me. He's shrunk a little bit recently.
Yeah.
And so he might be a little shorter than I am at this point. My younger brother is about an inch shorter than me. My younger brother has more trouble with clothing than anyone I know because he has like a very, like, he's not like he's not thick,
Yeah.
but he's like kind of like a muscly build. He's a little bit shorter, and clothes on him do not look right. They just like, do not look right.
I get that. I have a hard time at my height and with my weight, have a hard time finding a shirt that matches the happy medium. It's because sometimes I can wear mediums and they come down to the right place and they don't make me look fat, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're too short.
Yeah.
So sometimes I need large, but then large, it looks like I'm wearing a night shirt.
Exactly.
A sleep shirt. And so it's just, you got to find the right clothes for you, the right brand for you that actually fits right.
That's Jaden's thing. My younger brother, he constantly is wearing clothes that look tight on him because like the shirts, like he has like his biceps are big.
Yeah.
His big biceps. He's not like thick in the front, but it needs to be able to reach his waist.
Yeah.
So he's either upsizing to like a large, and then he's swimming in it, or he's rocking the medium that's tight on his biceps, like tight on his chest, and it's just barely reaching his waistline.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the pants too. The pants always look tight. It doesn't, there's not a lot of room for you to work. You don't look very natural.
Yeah.
And I have that issue sometimes too with a lot of clothing items. I've recently leaned more into the baggy. Baggy is more of my thing as of late.
Just make what's underneath more of a mystery.
It's a mystery right now. And baggy is in, so baggy t-shirts and my cargo pants and stuff. I like a little loose. It's comfy.
More comfy. I think that's our top tip. Just go, if you're short, go comfy.
Yeah, you need to go comfy and just kind of give a little bit more of a hipster vibe. Go a little baggy. It's in right now. Get yourself some baggy tees, real comfortable. Nobody knows what's under there, and just own it.
It is the Riot.